And we're back with Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday,
Yay.
Sunday, Sunday. You gotta come down here and pick up a bloody knife. And of course, I dream. I'm running through endless hallways. All kinds of hallways, including one that looks like a space station and another that looks like a medieval castle. In each one, I run to locked doors. Because of this, I can only move through the halls never knowing what's behind those doors. Eventually, I wake up, but my dead limbs and heavy head tell me I'm not fully awake. I embrace myself and shut my eyes again. My heart thumps and stomach churns with the disappointment of knowing that I'm still in that fucking bedroom. The one that tells me I'm stuck in a nightmare that's beyond the one I'm currently in. I feel things move about the room, hear things that sound like whining, crying, and screaming. Then I hear something in the ceiling moving above me. It has many legs, like a spider that weighs hundreds of pounds. And then I'm free. I hold still as the gradual release of the paralysis seeps through my muscles and joints. At this point, I feel like I've mostly learned how to cope with the nightmares. That thought would make me happy if I wasn't so crushed that I'm still here in this actual nightmare. Immediately, anxiety rises back up into my chest as I realize how fucked up this actually is, how much sense this doesn't actually make. As far as I can tell, we've been drugged, somehow, and moved to this underground hellhole as an experiment of some kind. Someone in Echo had to have done this. One of the crazy old people? Maybe Duke. He probably built this underground maze just to watch us lose our minds, probably getting off to it at the same time. I grip the bed sheets and grit my teeth, grimacing at the ceiling as I try not to cry. That had to be it. This isn't some kind of supernatural or alternate dimension. This is real and someone's fucking with us. We're probably being watched by cameras that are set up in corners and peepholes right now. That idea sends a shiver down my spine, and I glance to my left, scanning the wall for any inconsistencies. We need to get out of here as soon as we can, and the sooner we start moving, the better. I hear a small whining grunt to my left at that moment, and I look over, only to find that Carl isn't in the bed next to me. I stare for a moment at the tangled mess of sheets on his side of the bed, trailing off the side. Carl? Another grunt. Then I hear Carl. At least, I think it's Carl. His voice is deep, raspy, and it sounds like he's trying on some sort of weird accent that I've never heard him use. So, Carl, you were talking about using a different accent at some point.
Okay, you taught me into it. My name, soiled.
But it's supposed to be deep. You can't copy my Cliff voice for this.
You asked for a different accent, so I delivered.
Fine. Slowly, I sit up, and that's when I see something white sitting next to the bed. Jesus! I jump and slide my back on my ass away from it, almost falling off the other side of the bed. Staring at it a few seconds longer allows me to make out the clear shape of horns under a bedsheet. Carl is sitting next to the bed with a white sheet over his head, swaying back and forth gently. What the fuck, Carl? Oh, never mind. What the fuck, Carl? I shout whisper to him, my early exclamations sounding way too loud in this quiet room. I look over at Raven, but somehow he's still curled up on the sofa, fast asleep. Returning my attention to Carl, I jump again as I see that he's staring straight at me. Or would be staring straight at me if it wasn't for a sheet in the way. Carl, what are you doing? That isn't fucking funny at all. I push myself off the bed, leaning against it to take the weight off my swollen ankle, now twice its original size, as I stand in front of Carl. I reach out to take the sheet off his head, but I hesitate. The horns. They look bigger than they should be, and the voice is so different. This will be you, Carl.
Oh. I need love.
Carl? Carl, you're scaring the shit out of me. Oh, no, I'm saying these things way too forcefully. Carl? Carl, you're scaring the shit out of me. My voice is weak and it cracks at the end as I lose my nerve. Had this place been getting to Carl more than he let on? But then maybe he wasn't just sleepwalking. I remember him doing that when he slept over at my place years ago. I reach out again, more slowly this time, but again I hesitate. I can't shake the feeling that if I pull it off, it won't be Carl. Suddenly, the horned head shakes back and forth violently, the grunting reaching a fevered pitch. Shocked, I fall back on my rear, yelping as my ankle is jolted. I lean back on my hands, watching with wide eyes. The shaking is so wild, the sheets start to slip off the head as whatever is under the sheet is trying to shake it off. I brace myself, watching the sheet slide slowly from the horns to reveal Carl.
No.
Of course it's Carl. He stares back at me with bleary eyes like he'd just woken up. I swallow hard. Carl, what are you doing? He's silent for a moment, then finally speaks.
I know what to do.
Where are we supposed to be looking?
Anywhere, but I know it's here.
I lean uselessly against the dining room table again, watching them. I'm biting my lip, trying not to lose my cool, trying to absorb everything Carl had just told me. You said James Hendricks himself came to you in your dream, right? Carl huffs, but doesn't look at me.
Yep.
So just as a reminder, James Hendricks was the founder of Echo, who is one of Carl's ancestors. I believe that he's his great-great-grandfather, if I'm doing my math right. Either that or he's like the great-great-great-grandfather, so like 3 greats. And he told you that you had to find something? Carl gets down on his hands and knees and looks under the stove.
I know it sounds stupid, but that's what's happened.
Carl had a seance.
I frown. You know, I had a dream about a giant spider crawling through the ceiling, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be searching around for a spider in the ceiling.
No, this was different. I've never had a dream like that before.
He stands back up, looking right at me.
I felt like he was actually in my brain telling me.
I look back at him for a while, not wanting to tell him that he's going crazy just like I am. Well, it's kind of vague to tell you that you need to find something, isn't it?
He told me other stuff.
Carl moves closer to me, starting to look through the various decorum of the dining room. Like what? Carl lifts up a vase and then looks inside.
Said that this place is chaos. A leftover memory from the old house.
That still doesn't really make any sense.
And that he organized it for us into separate sections to help us figure out and clear his name so we can get out of here.
How is clearing James Hendricks' name going to end this? I throw my hands in the air to gesture that everything that this is. Carl bends down to look under the dining room table, then stands right up in front of me.
what else do we have to go off on?
Hey, I found something weird.
We both look over at Raven, who holds up a corkscrew. Carl turns back to me, ignoring the husky.
If we find it, that back door will open and we'll be able to get out.
If he's here, then why doesn't he just show up himself and do this for us?
He said he's weak, that there are other forces in this house that have more control than he does. He can only do so much.
I gape at him. Do you hear yourself right now?
What have you been smoking, bro?
Carl frowns, then moves past me. What does his name even need to be cleared of? I feel tears starting to sting my eyes again, because now I think I'm the only one here who realizes how crazy this all is. Don't you guys get what's actually going on here? Raven stops rustling through the drawers and looks up at me.
You okay, Chase?
No! Because somebody's fucking kidnapped us and put us in this crazy maze dungeon, and we should be trying to figure out how we can get out. It's quiet for a moment as Raven and Carl exchange glances.
It's okay, Chase. We're gonna get out of here.
I lean my head back in despair, about to cover up my face with my hands, when something catches my eye. In the chandelier, a small white envelope is wedged between the glass ornaments. I squint to make sure it's not my eyes watering, creating an illusion. Yes, there's definitely an envelope up there. Diamond patterns from the crystal cast across the surface. Guys? Carl ignores me as he continues to shuffle around through things on the counter behind us. Carl, I found something. I point straight up at the chandelier above me. Carl stops then, finally, and moves next to me looking up.
Is that a letter?
Looks like it. Do you think... Is that what you're looking for? Carl gets up on the table, wobbling slightly, as he reaches up to pull the envelope from the crystals. With a heavy thump, he drops back down onto the floor. I'm still skeptical of everything right now, but as I get a closer look at the letter, I think I start to recognize it. That kind of looks like the same envelopes your mom collected. Carl picks up the envelope, turning it over.
Kind of. It just says John on the front.
Carl opens the flap to empty out the contents.
Isn't that the guy that... Whoa.
The letter lights up, and what sounds like a match being struck accompanies the flash. Carl gasps and drops the letter, shaking his hands.
It's on fire.
Shit, put it out.
I stupidly wonder if the lights had somehow set the letter on fire as Carl starts to smother the letter with a sleeve. At that moment, a great moaning sound shakes the walls, almost knocking me off my feet and sending plates crashing to the floor. I cling to the table as the plates fall from the counter and the chandelier swings above us. The deep groaning coalesces into a scream that makes me clap my hands over my ears. Carl is staring at the ceiling, his eyes wide, when we hear another hissing sound. I jerk my head to look back in time to see a gush of inky black smoke burst from the stove, another scream accompanying it. It rushes straight towards us, and for just a moment, I see the outline of what looks like a mouth and eyes in the smoke before it engulfs me. My senses are completely smothered. It feels like something is slamming up against my chest, and all my air is gone to be replaced by the unbreathable smoke. Its consistency is like water, filling my eyes and ears. I scream into the emptiness, but I can't hear myself over the cacophony that sounds like rushing water mixed with muffled screams and explosions. I fall to my knees, then curl up on the ground into a ball, just praying that the savage thing killing me would stop. Just as I'm starting to give in, something grabs the scruff of my neck hard and yanks me up so violently my teeth clack together. The fingers are unmistakably hooved. This is for you again, Matt.
Oh, a ladder, you fucking idiot.
Then I'm shoved forward and find myself lying flat against the dining room table. Completely blind, I feel around before finding the letter. I clumsily rip the envelope apart, grabbing the letter inside. Then a massive vacuum being turned on. The smoke is sucked out of the room, along with the horrible screaming and roaring. In an instant, the room is quiet again, and I slump back to the floor, gasping for breath. Carl is next to me, curled up in the same position that I was. Raven is whimpering, his face in his hands and his rear in the air. Carl coughs a few times, wheezing in air before he looks at me and the envelope clutched in my hands.
What the hell just happened? Are you okay?
I can't respond. I lean back against one of the chairs tucked under the table for a moment, gathering my wits. Carl?
Yeah?
If that James guy tells you anything else, just tell me and we'll do it. Carl breathes heavily in response. Raven, you okay? Raven sits a few feet in front of us, on his knees, tongue hanging out as he gasps.
Good, good. You know, that's what I saw yesterday.
Yeah, I gathered that.
Mhm.
I give a short, humorless laugh. That, and also, I'm done asking questions. I just want to get out of here. After a few minutes of catching our breaths, I turn my attention back to the letter. Somehow, it's completely undamaged despite catching on fire. It feels crisp and new, and the ink looks almost fresh. It definitely looks like it came from one of the bends in the crawl space. But if that were the case, there's no way it would be in as good of a condition as it is. The letter itself is short, and I start to read it out loud. My dearest John. My dearest John, the militia grows more agitated by the hour, and I fear that they will demand a search of this mansion. If that does indeed occur, I will do everything in my utmost power
To hold them off.
I look over at Carl, wondering if he just wanted to read the letter instead, but he's looking right at me.
They will never find the room I've left you in. Do not fear.
Carl moves closer to me, his hands reaching out to grab my shoulder. Carl?
But if they so much as try to lay a finger on your head, it will be the last thing they ever do.
Before I can even move, Carl leans in and kisses me. I'm just able to get a glimpse of Raven's shocked face before I'm practically smothered by Carl's soft, warm nose and lips. I freeze, my shoulders tensing. It's not that I'm not enjoying it, it's just the kiss was so unwarranted. I'm not sure how long it lasts, but I never make a move to stop it. When Carl finally does pull back, it's awkward, and he's looking just as confused as I am. Raven sits there, openly staring at us. Carl lowers his ears, his nose growing pink.
Sorry, I don't know why I just did that.
I clear my throat. Don't worry about it. This place is doing weird things to me too.
Aw, that's cute.
Fuck off, Raven.
Raven, could you help me up? I mostly ask him so he won't dwell on what just happened. Carl clears his throat.
Well, I think the door's open now. Let's go check.
We make our way slowly down the hall, Raven just behind us. I lean closer to Carl's ear so the husky can't hear. So, was that really you, or did your great whatever take control again?
I don't know. I think I was still in control. Just felt like the right thing to do, you know?
Get some.
It looked like you already knew what the letter said. if you're saying the line, Matt, it's probably not getting picked up because Discord has a
Yeah.
bad time of. Okay, that one came through. I'll just let that be.
Okay.
I wait for him to go on, but he doesn't. Well, what does he need his name cleared for anyway? Being gay? I don't think people care about that stuff anymore.
No, we already sort of knew that. Besides, that was basically a love letter.
So what is it that he thinks has ruined his legacy? Carl thinks.
I guess the idea that he just allowed his lover to die. I think people believe that he sort of just left John to die. Didn't really try to save him.
This whole mess seems like a pretty roundabout way to go about that, in my opinion. But, like I said earlier, I'm done asking questions. Well, it was kinda nice. The kiss, I mean. Carl looks back at me with one green eye.
Yeah?
I smile a little. I guess the fact that something has been growing between us since the beginning of the week is pretty undeniable. And now we're here in this crazy alternate dimension with smoke monsters. So, well, fuck it, I guess.
No,
Lean
no,
forward.
not it. That's not a nice way to call cut.
I lean forward and kiss his big soft cheek. Yeah. Carl grins and is about to say something when I catch movement out of the corner of my eye. Immediately afterwards, I hear a dull thump and Carl grunts, his eyes bulging before he crumples, sending me to the floor with him.
Oh my god.
I yelp as my ankle bangs against the floor and I roll onto my back, teeth grit, straining to reach down to hold my foot. Whatever just hit us is standing over me now. I raise a hand feebly to hold off the next blow. When it doesn't come, I lower it slowly and look up.
Jenna?
Jenna stands there stoically, holding a what looks like small wooden stool. Jenna? What? How did you get here? Jenna slowly sets the stool down, slowly seeming to recognize me. I lean forward to feel my ankle, the pain radiating from it in hot pulses.
Jules, are you okay? What happened to your leg?
I sprained it. Oh, buddy, it's not sprained. I can tell you that. I've shown you guys that one little clip of what happens on Carl's route with Chase's leg, basically. Right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, it was the
I
meme.
don't-
It was the meme from somebody's review of Echo, where basically it was you ever just bump your knee and think, well, this is it. I'm dead.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That
No, I
is
remember
that is
that.
genuinely Chase during Carl's route.
Hey Jenna, it's been a while.
I look over at Carl, who's still curled up on his side, his arms wrapped around himself. Carl, are you okay? Then to Jenna. Did you hit him? Jenna walks past Carl and crouches down next to my leg.
This looks really bad.
Yeah. Carl, are you okay? Carl grunts and turns over to face us, a hand to his chest.
Jenna, what the fuck was that?
Jenna looks at my ankle a while longer before standing up and looking around. When it doesn't look like she's going to answer, Carl sits up.
How did you find us here?
Raven perks up.
Yeah, is there a way out?
Jenna finally looks down at Carl and I note the complete lack of concern in her eyes.
I came to your house looking for TJ and ended up going to the basement.
She looks down the hall again.
And I ended up here somehow. I blocked out before I did, so I don't know how to get out.
Carl finally stands up, wearily eyeing the stool held loosely in Jenna's hand, before bending down to help me back up.
Your leg okay?
He grunts into my ear as he slides my arm over his shoulder and slowly pulls me back up onto his back. Mostly. I think I kinda twisted it up again. Carl grunts again and turns to Jenna, now with me on his back.
Well, that's pretty fucked up. Just to blindly swing at someone around a corner.
No. What's fucked up is waking up in a place you have no memory of going to.
Jenna's sharp muzzle points right at Carl's, glaring. Carl stutters for a second, clearly not expecting to have Jenna snap back at him.
Hey, this isn't my fault. We have no idea where we're at either.
Why are you guys fighting?
Raven looks innocently between the two of them, his ears perked. It's a good question, and I watched Jenna closely from over Carl's shoulder. She just glares at Carl, arms folded. Does she blame him for this somehow? After a few seconds of awkward silence, Carl speaks up.
Well, you hit me for one. I don't know why you are so mad at me.
Jenna looks back at Carl, and I see the tenseness in her shoulders slowly loosen.
I'm sorry. I'm just a little uptight after waking up here.
Hey, you're taking it better than us. Chase was freaking out for hours.
I give Raven a side glance.
Well, things have been going crazy since you two left the lake.
Like us ending up in this fucking nightmare dimension?
Not just that.
Jenna sets the stool down on the carpet before sticking out her forearm. That's when I see the crusted blood in her fur in the form of 3 long lines.
What the?
TJ attacked me.
What? That sentence doesn't seem to fit together. TJ attacked?
Why?
I have no idea.
The faraway vacant look Jenna had in her eyes earlier is fading, to be replaced by a more concerned expression I better know her for.
He's been losing it ever since Flynn tried to grab him at the lake.
I start to feel a little sick to my stomach. Why?
He wouldn't tell me. He was just acting anxious, kept looking over his shoulder.
I keep trying to drink water and Chase gets another goddamn line. Let someone else talk, Chase.
I mean, I don't know.
But isn't he sort of like that most of the time? Jenna folds her arms, then shakes her head.
No, he kept looking around. Kept saying he was seeing things.
And Chase interrupts in 3, 2. Oh, no, he doesn't. She stops short.
Like what?
Jenna looks up.
Sydney.
We're quiet for a while.
It seemed all of the rumors about this town are true. Everyone is crazy. Don't you agree, Carl?
This isn't normal at all. Even in fucking Nico.
Jenna looks at Raven.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
It's funny that Raven knew Jenna, but Jenna doesn't know him.
Yeah, right?
Raven
Hey,
grins.
we went to school together. Why do you hate me? No, I'm sorry. I'm Raven.
He sticks out
I
a
know
hand.
you. You don't me. You don't know me.
I'm your teenage stalker.
I've had a
Makes
crush on
sense.
you ever since high school, Jenna. You're beautiful. Boxes, dogs, it'll work.
Oh god.
I'm gonna just step away from this creep.
Yeah, Jenna, do you want to like file a restraining order against him or something?
Well, once we get out of here,
Yeah, we're all stuck in here together. It's okay, Jenna.
All right, Chase, I'm gonna go over by you. I don't care what you have to say, Carl.
Could you hit me with a chair?
Excuse me, Chase is my man.
All right, Jenna, could you hit me with a chair?
I'm just gonna borrow him until we get out of here. Then
People,
he's all yours.
there's enough Chase to go around. I only broke off one leg. You could take the other leg.
We can all have sex with Chase.
Oh god, no.
Oh my! No, not Chase.
Gross.
Oh. Anyways.
Jenna looks at it before turning to me.
Something was going on with Leo too. He kept asking around for you. And then he ran off saying he had to take care of some things.
Okay, was he asking for me or was he asking for a squeaky toy? Because there is a difference between the two, Jenna.
Hey, I don't like you talking about me like that.
You're not here. You're not in
really
this
miss
route. You can just shut the fuck up.
Aw, damn it. I'm not in this story. I'm not important. This whole game is about me. Me and only me.
Oh, I don't know why. It's not like I have a restraining order out against him or something.
Because I love you, Chase. I've always loved you. I need you.
Better shut up, Raven. I'm gonna punch you in the face.
You just start hearing, "Do I creep you out?"
Yeah, no, that definitely is Leo's theme for this game sometimes.
Something I want to ask you about. Can I stick my fingers in your mouth?
Oh, God. I try to think... I try to think of what Leo might have wanted from me, but I draw a blank. It could be anything.
I mean, isn't it obvious?
Anyway, I've been trying to find TJ for ages. I don't even know what day it is anymore. Tried Carl's house since I'd ran out of any other options.
Oh wait, you don't see the little like bump thing between like days? It's a Sunday according to the little bumper thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Jenna goes quiet, then reaches into her pocket and pulls out her phone, holding it up, clearly looking for a signal.
Just as I got to your house, Carl, I heard popping sounds.
Jenna sighs and puts her phone away again.
Gunshots, I'm pretty sure, coming from Main Street. Something's been happening to everyone.
Jenna slides her hands into her back pockets, looking around.
And now this.
Wow. So something fucked up is happening all over town. I think about Leo and TJ, and my stomach twists at the thought of them being out there. I can only hope that they were able to get out somehow.
At this point, I'm just waiting to wake up.
We
Yeah, especially after a giant smoke monster chased us around the dining room.
What?
Jenna looks at me and Carl, expecting us to tell her that we've just been watching a lot of Lost recently, but it turns out that's not the case. Carl glances back at me, as if asking me to be the one to explain the impossibility of what had just happened. I take a breath, trying to think of how I'm going to say this. So, I think it's this point you're just gonna have to just go with whatever this place throws at you, Jenna.
Yeah, we've all kind of accepted what's been happening.
Well, we have to. Otherwise, it'd just be us sitting around freaking out about how crazy this all is and not doing anything about it.
And so far, it seems we've at least been moving things forward.
Jenna stares at us.
What happened?
Should
A
be
big
wacky,
smoke
yo.
monster attacked us, and then we went to, and then it was attacking me, and then I got saved by these two strong, handsome men. After I got saved by these two strong, handsome men, then we slept for the night. Then we woke up the next morning, and there was a smoke monster again, and that's the end of that story.
I'm pretty
the smoke?
certain that Raven is actually straight, if I remember right.
Yeah, but there can still be strong, attractive men.
I guess, yeah.
And then the smoke monster tried to seduce Chase.
No, actually, Chase's great-grandfather or something
You mean
like
Carl's? Chase's
Carl's
family doesn't
great-grand-
show up in this game.
that. Carl's great-grandfather is seducing Chase. Get it straight. Not the smoke monster.
Well, somebody's
Chase-
car alarm's going off out in the real world.
Well, Carl's grandfather tried to use Carl to seduce Chase.
That's what I'm putting together, I think.
Look, I may have lost my boyfriend, Carl, but I'm not gonna let you lose your boyfriend.
This is your route, after all.
Oh my goodness.
So, this is all to clear James's name?
Coral.
Seems that way.
But why go through all this trouble?
I rest my good foot on the carpeted floor while I lean on Carl's back, wanting to give him some relief from carrying me all the time. Probably because of the smoke monster thing. It's trying to stop him. Maybe it's making all these obstacles? Jenna had taken our whole description of what had happened in the dining room pretty well. She listened silently while I explained what had happened so far.
So I guess if we can get his story straight, maybe get it out to the town about what really happened, we might be able to get out of here.
Jenna eyes the door.
Hannah,
Oh, did she step away?
she's taking care of Randall.
Oh, okay.
But she's back now. Or at least she will be in a few seconds. Randall went to get the guest bedroom. He's not supposed to go to the guest bedroom. There you go.
You
Well-
think that maybe... Oh.
Sorry. No, go for it.
You think that maybe there's a reason why this monster doesn't want James to get this information out?
We're quiet for a moment. Well, we don't have much else to go on. Again, there's the long pause as we all contemplate what the hell might be behind the door. That pause is broken by a certain husky, though, as his white hand suddenly reaches out to grasp the handle.
Maybe we've already done what needs to be done. I'll bet this gets us home.
Raven?
The heavy door pulls open slowly with an unearthly squeal. For the brief moment that I'm conscious, I see the black square in front of me that grows in size until it takes up my entire vision. The muscles in my back and neck seize up, and my teeth clench together as my head jerks back. And then I'm falling. There's a dramatic throbbing in my head. But it's hard to decide if it's coming from inside my head or outside. The next sense to come back is the touch. I feel a cold, hard surface under my back. Probably wood, judging by the way my claws sink into it. I shift around a little, but I don't feel like getting up just yet. The smell is musty and
other
old.
leg.
I'm reminded of my grandpa's woodshed, a place that I'd often go when I played hide and seek. The drumming sounds continue, and the rhythm makes me think that it's definitely coming from outside my body. It sounds tribal in a way. Where am I? On the edges of my memory are troubling images of endless halls and rooms, the smell of decay in a noose. but I feel like if I block it out and just go back to sleep, I can erase all of it. I almost succeed, but then something brings me right out of my reverie.
Carl? Chase?
I grimace, the voice reminding me of something dark, cloudy.
Help!
The much louder yelp that follows has me rolling to my side, cracking my eyes open blearily. I'm in a dark room. Very dark. The only source of light coming from what looks like a candle on the bedside table. A large bed sits next to it. I'm laying near the foot of this bed, and opposite me, I can make out a wall next to it, which is a wooden box.
Help!
Raven's plaintive moan forces me to my feet, my joints cracking uncomfortably. As I drag my right foot up to stand As I drag my right foot up to stand under me, a blinding pain flashes up my leg, sending bright white across my vision. God, sometimes the wording in this is a little bit off for me. I let out
English is confusing.
It is. English is a terrible language.
German. I wish I could speak German.
I wish I could speak, I want to say Polish.
German is one of the only languages where you can straight up make up words on the spot and then be real and correct.
Yeah, you can make up comments.
Well, I'm sure it's not the only language, but it is one of, and I think that's awesome. I want it.
I want to be able to speak the language of the deep ones.
Good luck with that.
I think you're the only person in this call that would actually get that joke, Matt.
Yeah, I have no idea what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
You haven't read Shakespeare until you've read it in its original Klingon, so.
I don't know why, but for some reason I could totally see an Echo campaign, an Echo Call Cthulhu.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty certain it could translate over pretty easily. Especially since this game is very much about like surviving a horrible event.
Sans survive in horror, yeah, right?
Mm-hmm. I let out a muffled scream of pain behind my clenched teeth, closing my eyes as I wait for it to subside. Memories are starting to flow back to me. There's a doorway in front of me, and I start to make my way towards it, hopping slowly on my left foot, holding the right off the ground. I come into a small hallway, one that branches to my left into a corridor of darkness. Right in front of me, however, is a set of stairs. Light glows at the bottom, and I'm pretty sure that's where Raven's voice is coming from. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can hear other voices coming from there as well. I look down at my ankle, wincing as I see that it's gotten even bigger, more than twice its original size. I'm starting to think it may be more than just a sprain. As I make my way down the stairs, cringing with every light hop, my stomach starts to sink. I remember now, the weird mansion that we were just in, the doors and hallways, and the smoke monster. And the door we just went through? Whatever is happening to us isn't over yet. When I reach the bottom of the stairs, I find Jenna and Carl standing around a tall brown wardrobe. As I stand there, breathing heavily, Carl turns to see me.
Chase?
He immediately rushes to my side, his hooves clopping loudly against the wooden floor. I think he's simply coming over to support me, but then he wraps me in a hug.
God, I keep worrying that one of us is gonna disappear. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm fine. I was upstairs in a bedroom, I think. The anxiety I'm feeling over this whole situation goes away just a little, absorbed into the soft warmth of Carl's body. Over Carl's shoulder, I can see Jenna watching us, her eyes narrowed, expression dark. I'm about to ask her what's wrong when I hear a loud bang from inside the wardrobe.
Guys, are you there? I think something touched me.
Jenna turns back to the wardrobe, silent for a moment, then bends down to look at something.
Guys?
I hear a metallic clink, then Jenna jumps back as one of the doors swing open, and a black and white blur falls out like a rock. Raven faceplants neatly into the wooden floor. He stays there for a moment, moaning into the planks before Jenna bends over to help him up.
Are you alright?
Yeah, I just felt like something grabbed me.
I just realized that this is the second time that whatever's doing this tried to fucking lock Raven away.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Someone has it out for Raven, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's so Raven.
So here's a pet theory that I had having played the entire thing. I don't think Raven was ever meant to be here. Like, he was meant by like the writers, but like for the plan of whatever is behind this, which I do know that there is something that is behind it, I don't think it wanted Raven to be here. So it's just like, this motherfucker is in my way. I'll just kill him if I can help it, or lock him away.
Yeah, poor Raven.
That's so Raven.
Because, yeah, I'll let you know, since in every one of the other routes, Raven's not an Echo at all. This is
Yep.
the only route where he comes down to Echo is to support Carl for his job interview.
Huh.
He just picked the worst possible time to come down to Echo. I look back into the wardrobe to find very bare and empty wooden compartment. I'm inclined to believe him, though, after everything that's happened.
What? Excuse me. What? Where are we?
It's a good question, and now with the excitement over, I take the opportunity to look around as well. Everything is wooden. The walls, floor, ceiling. There's a large rug on the floor covered in colorful patterns and shapes. It reminds me of the art projects we do in elementary school when learning about the natives. There's a big stone fireplace and 2 rug-covered chairs in front of it. Jenna gingerly shuts the wardrobe.
So, a log cabin.
Coral.
Did you have a question, Carl?
Matt?
Does everyone remember where we were before?
Yeah, the mansion place.
So, we're stuck in this dimension thing.
I sigh, rubbing my face with one hand, while I lean against Carl with the other. I'd long ago given up trying to figure out what exactly had been going on here. Like Carl said earlier, we just had to keep moving and hope we get out of here.
What's that sound?
The drumming that I had thought was coming from within my head had started up again.
Drums?
The husky moves towards the wall that consists of several logs stacked horizontally on top of each other.
I can't see anything. The cracks are filled in with stuff. Cracks.
I look around again, this time more carefully.
Samples there.
Right in front of me is a large log door, not unlike the one we initially came through. On my left side, separated by the stairs, is what looks like the kitchen side of the room. In it, there is a small table with 2 chairs on either side. There's also a big black wood-burning stove next to the few shelves which are full of pots and pans. Various tools and furniture clutter up the rooms. And there's a window. I point it out to Carl. Look, let's try and see out through there. Carl pulls me into a familiar position on his back, before clopping over to the window, the sounds a bit louder with my added weight. Jenna and Raven follow behind. There's a ledge next to the window, thankfully, and Carl lets me sit on it. I turn to look out the window while the others crowd around me, resting their hands on the wooden bench. The first thing I notice is the flickering light in the distance, about 100 yards away. It casts out across the ground around it. Shadows from rocks and bushes dance about with the movement of the illumination. It's definitely a fire, a large one, probably a bonfire. The blackness around the fire is unnatural, though, just like what I saw through the windows of the mansion. Wait, there were windows in the mansion?
Question mark? Or I guess in the one picture of the room there kind of was, but
Oh, wait. No. So it must be the actual real mansion because the manor that they were in, that they were like trapped in, that like maze manor, they kept saying there were no windows.
oh, okay.
So now I'm confused about what they're referring to with that. It's inky and thick. It has the oppressive air of almost being alive. No other light comes from what I presume to be the sky, that fire being the only signal about anything existing outside the cabin.
A fire.
Raven says redundantly.
The drumming. It's coming from it.
Carl reaches out. But his hand looks to immediately press against something. I reach out too, and feel a solid flat surface where a pane of glass might be set up, but it's clear there's nothing visible there. Observe, accept, move on.
Hey, look.
I look up in time to see something dark flash across the fire. It disappears into the darkness to the right of the flame, though.
What was that?
Carl?
Maybe it was a tumbleweed or something?
No, it was jumping. Whatever it was.
I feel another prickling along my neck, and now I'm not really into the idea of just staring out into the darkness. But then it happens again, and I see what Jenna's saying. The dark shape starts at the left side of the fire before passing in front of it. I get a brief impression of a tail and ears, legs and arms pumping as if jogging in place. It moves past the flames, then disappears into the darkness again. Something's out there. We continue to watch, but the drumbeat dies down, and after about a minute, it's clear nothing's moving around out there anymore.
What was that?
Well,
Carl glances at Jenna.
the drum beat sounds kind of native, don't you think?
He's clearly waiting for Jenna to confirm.
Maybe.
There's an awkward silence before Carl coughs.
Well, let's think. We weren't able to get out of the mansion until we found that letter, right?
He looks at me. Yeah. I respond automatically.
Well, if that's the case, then maybe we had to find something in here, right?
I guess that makes sense. But what are we supposed to find? Another letter?
Yeah, didn't someone tell you about finding something? That it would open the door?
Yeah, and I think it makes sense that whoever set this up would do it the same way, right?
I sigh and stop staring out the window, my back sore from the twisting motion. I sit straight up on the bench and look back into the cabin. Well, if we're supposed to find another letter, there's a bunch of places to hide it.
Maybe we should try the door first.
Jenna walks over to the door and looks it up and down before reaching out to slide back a rusty bolt. To my surprise, it moves with only a little resistance.
Are we sure we want to go out there? I mean, we don't even know what that it is running around.
Jenna hesitates, then he's back on the door, but it doesn't budge. Not even an inch. Jenna sighs. Raven bounds up next to Jenna before enthusiastically yanking back on the handle as well. Again, the door holds fast.
Of course.
Jenna stares at the door a moment before turning to us.
Let's take a look around upstairs. If
we're supposed to find something, then we should start from top to bottom.
Raven?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Carl bends down to pick me up, but I rest a paw on on his shoulder. Wait, I don't want you to have to drag me everywhere, let alone up and down the stairs. He stops mid-stoop, his face level with mine as he looks at me.
You sure? I don't really want to leave you alone down here.
As I look back at him, I can't help but notice the differences that I had noticed earlier. His face had harder lines, his fur duller, his eyes somehow deeper, wiser.
You alright?
I break out of my trance and blink. Yeah. I'll just stay down here and look around where I can.
I was just staring at you, beautiful.
Jenna and Raven are already making their way up the stairs, Raven going on about how his family used to have their own log cabin.
Raven.
Alright, but shout if you need anything.
I smile. At least I feel like some parts of Carl are still familiar. After the ram heads up the stairs, I lean back on my little bench, letting my head tilt back as I close my eyes. Even in this new environment, everything still is feeling surreal. I've come to welcome the feeling, though. It's a nice little barrier to everything that's happening right now. In some ways, I can still pretend that this is a dream. Hell, even now I'm thinking it's a dream. That I'm somehow stuck in one of my paralyses. Maybe I'm in a hospital right now, and they're trying to figure out how to pull me out of it. That thought has me feeling like I'm being watched, and the fur prickles around my neck. I guess it would be kind of awkward if all those doctors are watching me right now. Maybe Carl and Jenna are there too. And Leo, and Flynn, and TJ. The feeling gets stronger, so I turn back around to look out the window. It's still silent, and the lonely little flame in the distance continues to flicker around the rocks and sagebrush. It makes me wonder how endless this world is. If we're in some type of ghost dimension being manipulated by what are basically ghost gods, then will this whole ordeal never ending? That thought twists my stomach, so I stop thinking about it. I turn back around and force my eyes to start scanning the kitchen from top to bottom, looking for something, anything that might stand out. I assume I'm looking for a letter. But again, if the rules are limitless in this world, then there's no telling what it might be that we're supposed to find. I think about vocally asking James or whoever the hell it is for some help. Maybe some kind of hint at least, but there's no way I'm going to do that without the others near me. Wow. Chase, why did you have to be alone and have so many goddamn thoughts?
Not enough.
I'm thinking about pushing off the bench to start limping around the kitchen when a small scratching sound catches my attention. I hold still, then lean back, tilting my ear towards the sound. It's muffled and a bit distant, but it's coming from my left. Is it happening out on the outside of the cabin? My fur prickles, and I think about calling Carl. I can hear the three of them stomping around, talking to each other in muffled voices from upstairs. I turn around again, only this time a little more tentatively. The dancing bonfire fire continues to glow quietly, no other movement aside from the shadows. This time, a rustling sound comes from that same spot, and I instinctively turn my eyes in its direction. Carl? I raise my voice only a little bit, but their conversation carries on upstairs as if I hadn't said anything. I look up at the ceiling, then back out the window. The rustling sound continues, this time in earnest, as if something's twisting around in the brush. It's coming from just out of view of the window, right at the base of the house. I hold my breath and lean forward, stretching my neck up to get a better angle and peer down into the darkness. It's really too dark to see much, or at least that's what I was thinking. Almost as if it had its own glow, a bright white face stares at me from back from the blackness. My mind blanks and my body seizes up. And just like that, I'm in a paralysis, forced to stare down at the white face, the black eyes. It's as if the thing is holding me with its gaze, but as it does, its features become more definable. I see tall ears, a long, pointy muzzle, a band of some type across the thing's forehead. This would actually be, I think, Jenna's. It'd be a different voice for Jenna.
Stop it.
Something says it very deliberately through their teeth right in my ear. At the same time, the face flickers and fuzzes, like a TV picture with bad reception. The head twitches and shifts, then the muzzle opens and... the cackle that comes forth is all at once terrifying and familiar, and at that moment I'm released. My vocal cords start working at the same time, and I let out a scream as I fall backwards. I land on the wooden floor with a loud thud that shakes the pots and pans on the shelves.
And then I break my other leg.
Yeah, and then I just snap it right in half. The room spins, and I feel like I'm coming right out of the dream, like I had been sleeping for ages. And thank fuck other people are here to start talking.
Huh?
The next thing I know is that I'm surrounded by 3 faces of my friends, all looking down at me.
They're all doppelgangers.
Oh no!
No, they're all possessed.
That
By
would be
me!
terrifying.
Carl grabs me.
Yeah,
from
Alan,
my
you have to play all of them now.
Oh god.
They're all doppelgangers, so you have to play all of them.
Carl grabs me under the arms and pulls me into a sitting position, his face worried. But there's something else, too. Anger?
What happened?
I'm startled by his abruptness, and I stammer through an answer. It was a face! Out the window.
What did it say?
Carl, what are you doing?
Raven approaches the ram gently, his ears falling. Carl glances at the husky, then at Jenna, who's been silent so far, then back at me, slowly letting go.
Sorry, I was just worried about you. What did you see? Did it say anything?
It takes me a moment to find my voice. No, it didn't say anything. Just laughed.
What did it look like?
A fox, maybe? Had a band over his head. Carl's eyes narrow.
Hey, I found something.
We all look up at Raven as he holds up a wide piece of paper.
What is that?
Carl stands up, staring hard at the paper in Raven's hand.
I don't know. Looks like a photocopy of a newspaper. Let's see.
Raven turns towards the candle sitting on the desk. Jenna stands behind him.
Meseta boy missing after.
What?
Raven flinches back as the paper catches fire, illuminating the entire cabin room. Our shadows dance across the log walls. The paper, which Raven had dropped, flutters to the floor, a tongue of angry flame eating it up completely before it hits the floor. We all stare at the smoldering flake of ash on the ground.
Raven, are you kidding me?
What? Well, I wasn't even that close to the candle.
That might have been what we needed.
But
Raven stares at his hands, looking forlornly between them, and the candle which seems to flicker innocently on the table. I rest my face in my hands. Well, What do we do now?
He wasn't near the candle.
I pull my head out of my hands, not because of what Jenna said, but because of the way she said it.
Huh?
I've got a side angle here. You were at least 2 feet away.
There's a brief silence.
Jenna, what are you talking about?
I don't know, Carl. What am I talking about?
Jenna turns to the ram, eyes narrowed, teeth just slightly bared. I look at Carl. He's frowning, a concerned look on his face.
Jenna, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm saying there's no way that candle burned that paper.
Carl's concerned expression deepens, but there's also a hint of condescension there.
What else could have done, Jenna?
This time the silence is heavy. I'm baffled by the interactions they've been having so far, and judging by Raven's look, or the look on Raven's face, so is he.
Hey guys, I'm sorry I burned it, but maybe we can figure something out something out from, like, the Masetta boy missing.
I look at Jenna. Oh yeah, Maseda. Isn't that your tribe, or...
Yep.
I feel my face flush as I wonder if I'm being insensitive. Like, I think she knows everyone from the tribe.
But what does that mean? A lot of people go missing out here.
Well, it would have something to do with James, right?
Carl!
How do we know that?
I look at Carl. Are you okay, man? You've been acting really weird ever since we got here.
I think we're all acting a little different after getting here, don't you think?
Carl glances at Jenna.
Are we fighting again?
Staring at the ash on the ground, something I should have realized earlier suddenly hits me. Wait a minute. That newspaper. It looked kind of like something that came out of the crawlspace tubs.
What do you mean?
I was looking through some artifacts that Carl's family saved from way back when, for that project I was doing. It seems like years ago at this point. I snapped my fingers. And some of the stuff that was missing from it, like pages ripped out from Carl's mom's notes that had photocopies of old newspapers.
So was that just a clipping from the notes?
Maybe? I don't know, but John was native, so maybe it has something to do with him. I think back to the small fox I saw through the window, the band across his forehead. Was that John?
So the ghost just ripped out the pages to show you in this nightmare world? Why didn't he just point them out to you in the real world?
I don't really have an answer to that.
Then we wouldn't have to be going through this shit right now.
Ghost rules?
Raven shrugs.
And what if that was our key out of here?
Well, they can't just leave us here, right?
We don't know anything about where we are, and what these things are capable of.
So what now? Just sit around and wait for something else to happen?
Carl suddenly sighs.
Well, I'm gonna look around some more. You guys do whatever you want.
Again, I'm taken aback by Carl's demeanor. I've never seen him act like this before. It's like he's a different person. Without another word, he turns on his hoof and walks away. All right, I think that's a good calling point for right now.
Yep.
So,
Yee.
say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.